That massive credit and debit card breach at Target just got a whole lot worse. The retailer says up to 70 million customers may have had their information stolen. That's 30 million more than we originally thought. Now, that's not good news, but are new rules and regulations Democrats in D.C. want going to turn this into bad news for everyone? Gary V., what do you say?
Brenda, I'm going to return to the old Gary B. you know and love and say this is infuriating. Why does government always think they need to step in and look out for all us dumb schmoes out here in the great flyover country of the United States? Government to the rescue. Like we wouldn't be able to figure this out ourselves. Look, the Target thing has been well publicized. Target came out themselves twice now and said, look, we had this problem. Now the problem is even worse. And you know what people did? They stopped shopping at Target, just as Tracy said a few weeks ago. She said she wasn't going to shop at Target. I didn't think she was right, but she was right, and people voted with their feet and with their wallet. That's the punishment a Target makes. Just like Sears, when they make their mistakes, people stop shopping there. We don't need the government and all their idiotic red tape to come in and tell us what to eat, where to shop, and all this other nonsense.
Okay, but Bernard, the punishment that Target faced, isn't that enough to make you scared that perhaps other companies would not want that to happen to them, and they may not release information?
I like the old Gary B. It amazes me that Republicans are somehow scared of consumer protection. I mean, thank God for Pat Leahy. He's been trying to introduce this bill and get it passed for almost a decade. It simply says this. It says that if companies experience these security breaches, they have to report to consumers within a certain amount of time. What's wrong with that? It's actually exactly what the House passed today with respect to healthcare.gov. I think that companies should be held accountable and should be required under the law to tell consumers if there's been a data breach or a security breach. What's wrong with that?
Okay, what is wrong with that, John?
Well, the problem is this is not a partisan issue. These guys in Washington, D.C. can't run a one-car parade. Look at the $500 million website that they built that does not work, that they outsourced to a Canadian company, by the way. And they may be good at hacking into private data. They're not that good at protecting private data. Target has been punished. Sales were supposed to be flat for the fourth quarter. Now they're going to be down about 2.5%. When you're talking about a $40 billion market cap company, that is significant. Part of this I agree with on this bill because they're talking about the penalty phases of this. Right. But as far as putting more regulations in place, this Congress knows nothing about this.
All right, Jonas, what do you know about this?
Okay, first of all, every company is a Target or Disney or McDonald's. If they were, we wouldn't need a lot of regulations because the market would fix it. But there's a lot of companies out there handling your data that have no brand that's going to get lost. You're not going to be able to switch. They're not even going to know they were hacked, first of all. So there's an area here, but it's actually government underreach because the government's done so little in this area to standardize things. For example, I still have a wallet full of magnetic strip credit cards. Why is that even allowed? No one company can fix that. You sort of need the government to set a rule. They don't go after foreign hackers in other countries nearly as aggressively. That's the criminal, not the CEOs who don't let you know that you were hacked. That's a minor offense.
Jonas, I love you. You in Miami, and maybe it's getting to your head, the heat and hot air. These people can't decide on what to order for lunch, and you want them to dictate security and your data, and you want them to have access to all that stuff? My God, I actually would put them on a sailboat behind you and send them out to sea and be done with them. Tell them to stay away from my personal information.
Tracy, Apple Computer can't go after a hacker in the Ukraine or wherever.
Yes,
that's the government's job. They're not doing it well enough, and you have to set a standard. This is why they have better telecom services abroad. The government sets standards, and the free market delivers. Here, they're just allowed to do whatever they want, and we have these antiquated systems that are just hackable.
But Gary V., can the government do it?
Well, that's the problem. In answer to Bernard's question, why not? I'll give you a couple of reasons why not. What if it's just 5 customers that had their thing hacked? Do they need to publicize to the world? Right. What about if it's Joe's Exxon and someone stole my card? Does he need to publicize it to the world? Also, how are they going to enforce this exactly? They're brainiacs there who came up with Obamacare website. They're going to be able to enforce this. And how are they going to enforce it, by the way? They're going to go knocking on the door to Walmart and say, hey, have you had any security breaches? I mean, it's just idiotic to think that the government could enforce this when the market does a very good job of enforcing it itself.
Not if the market doesn't know that it happened. I mean, we cannot trust companies to
Fine,
be clear
then how
that
is the government going to know
breach.
that it happens?
Well, if you mandate the fact that the government private companies have to report to consumers when security and data has been breached, then I would think that would happen.
Jonas just said sometimes the companies don't even know they've been hacked.
Okay, Bernard, they can't keep track of a tax return in a good April. Like, how could you expect them to keep track of anything?
Okay, I'm sorry. That's got to be it. Thanks, guys.